What's up, Pats Nation? Before we get to the news, if you also think the Pats have what it takes to make it to the next Super Bowl, I'm a believer. If you believe it too, comment below. Go, Pats. I believe it. The 2025 NFL Draft is wrapped up, and while all eyes were on the big names called across the podium, something far more interesting might just be brewing beneath the surface at Foxborough. Patriots fans, you need to lean in close, because what's happening behind the scenes could be the beginning of a wave of hidden gems crashing onto the roster. Mike Vrabel and his staff wasted absolutely no time signing 19 undrafted free agents, and today, we're going to dive deep into each one of these new faces that could soon be donning the silver and blue. Trust me, by the time we finish, you're going to have some strong opinions about which of these names might just shock the NFL world come preseason. Let's roll straight into it. First up, linebacker Cam Riley out of Florida State. This guy wasn't just a body on the field, he was a top tackler for the Seminoles, stacking up 47 tackles, including a season-high 10 against Boston College. Standing tall at almost 6 feet 4 inches and weighing 230 pounds, Riley brings an imposing frame to a Patriots linebacker core that desperately needed depth after last year's injuries. Think about that size and intensity rotating into our defensive schemes. There's real potential here. Next, let's move to the secondary with Brandon Crossley, a cornerback from SMU, a local Dallas kid who's now about to feel the chill of New England. Crossley has experience not just in coverage but also on special teams, with 35 tackles, an interception, and all ACC honorable mention honors. He's a bit undersized at 5 feet 10 inches, 186 pounds, but that has never scared off the Patriots from developing quality defensive backs. His special teams experience could be his golden ticket. Demir Blankumsey, or as it was pronounced, Demir Blankumsey, is another intriguing addition, a wide receiver out of Memphis. This guy was incredibly productive, 45 receptions for 677 yards last season, but even more impressive, he posted 901 yards and 7 touchdowns the year before. His 5 feet 10 inches, 192-pound frame makes him another smaller, quicker option in what's suddenly becoming a very crowded and competitive wide receiver room. The Patriots clearly have a plan: flood the zone with talent and see who survives. Speaking of offensive depth, New England added another running back, Lon Larison out of UC Davis. Let me tell you, Larison is not just a filler piece. We're talking 1,500 rushing yards on 284 carries, absolutely carrying the load for his college team. He ranked 22nd among running backs coming into the draft and somehow slipped into the UDFAs, which makes this a high upside, low-risk signing. And yes, he brings pass protection and return game ability, two skills that could fast-track him into serious competition for a roster spot. But the Patriots didn't stop with just a handful of signings. Another player that could become a fan favorite, Efton Chisholm III, wide receiver. If you watched the Shrine Bowl, you saw this kid absolutely light it up. He clocked a 4.06 short shuttle, which would have ranked 4th among all combine participants. He's got elite quickness, and in a receiving group that needs separation ability, Chisholm's skills are going to pop in camp. Keeping the offensive focus, Jeremiah Webb from South Alabama also joins the wide receiver ranks. At 5 feet 11.5 inches and 200 pounds, Webb caught 36 passes for 649 yards back in 2022. He's already had a private workout with the Patriots, so the staff has had eyes on him for a while, a calculated signing, not just a desperation pick. At quarterback, the Patriots made a quiet but intriguing move. Ben Woldridge, who completed 66% of his passes for over 2,500 yards, joins the room that already includes veteran Josh Dobbs and rookie sensation Drake Maye. Woldridge even won Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Year honors, and while he's a long shot, he has enough raw talent to push for a QB3 spot without having cost the team a draft pick. C.J. Dipree, a tight end out of Alabama, also joins the fold. Projected to be a 5th or 6th round pick, Dipree slid to the UDFA pool, and the Patriots wisely scooped him up. With 21 catches for 256 yards, plus solid blocking ability and special teams experience, he fits right into New England's mold for versatile, reliable contributors. The defensive side also gets a boost with edge rusher Elijah Ponder from Cal Poly. How a player with 7 sacks and 12.5 tackles for loss goes undrafted is a mystery, but the Patriots saw the value. Ponder was projected as a 7th round pick and could absolutely carve out a rotational role if he impresses early in camp. Then there's Brock Lampy from Northern Illinois, another running back. Although with only 7 carries for 14 yards last season, the odds are stacked against him sticking. Still, it's competition that keeps the others sharp. Safety Jordan Polk out of Texas State joins the back end, bringing 68 tackles and experience as an All-Sun Belt honorable mention. While not flashy, depth at safety will be crucial, especially with veterans like Jabro Peppers and Kyle Duggar in place but not getting any younger. Cole Berto, an offensive tackle from Merrimack, also joins the squad. Only 2 sacks allowed and a 67 PFF grade might not seem elite, but for an undrafted tackle, that's promising. He impressed during the Patriots' local pro day, and that's the kind of under-the-radar sign that often pays off. The Patriots doubled up at tight end too, signing G. Scott Jr. from Ohio State. With 27 catches for 253 yards, Scott isn't a headliner, but he was part of a playoff-caliber team and brings experience from the highest levels of college football. Boston College's Jack Conley, a versatile offensive lineman who played right tackle, right guard, and left tackle, also signs on. At 6 feet 7 inches and 325 pounds, the Patriots will be very interested to see if his size and versatility can translate to NFL snaps. Safety Josh Minkins out of Cincinnati rounds up the safety depth, a tall 6 feet 1 inch player who produced 6 pass breakups and 45 tackles. His size could help him transition well into New England's system if he survives final cuts. Wilfred Penney, a defensive tackle from Virginia Tech and originally from France, brings international flair and versatility. At 6 feet 1 inch, 280 pounds, he's being eyed potentially as a defensive end too. Flexibility is currency in New England's defense. Edge rusher Hector Johnson from Endicott is another local prospect. Worcester native, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year at Endicott, don't count him out. Sometimes local guys play with a little more heart when they put on the hometown jersey. Tight end Dwayne Martin out of Louisville also got the call. At 6 feet 1 inch and 270 pounds, his resume isn't packed with stats, but there's talk of him potentially shifting into a fullback role, something Mike Vrabel hinted at during his introductory presser. Eyes peeled there. Finally, Bryce Ganius, defensive tackle from Wake Forest, closes out the 19. 26 tackles and 5 for loss last season, coming over after a transfer from Villanova. Another depth piece who could slide into rotation if injuries pile up. 19 undrafted free agents, 11 offensive players, 8 defensive players. A full reload of developmental prospects. And the Patriots are far from finished. Remember, minicamp invites are still being sent out, and there's still 1 spot left that Vrabel could fill. Patriots fans, I want to know, which of these UDFAs has you the most excited? Which player do you think could shock everyone and make the 53-man roster? Drop your thoughts down below because this class could absolutely shape the next wave of Patriots success. Let's talk about it. And as we keep peeling back the layers of this UDFA class, it becomes even clearer that Mike Vrabel and his staff are executing a strategy that's part gamble, part masterclass in roster building. This wasn't just about adding bodies for training camp. This was about injecting new blood into a Patriots team that's desperately trying to turn the page and forge a new identity post-Belichick era. Each of these 19 players wasn't picked at random. They were scouted, evaluated, and targeted because they bring something specific to the table. Some bring versatility. Some bring sheer athleticism. Others bring that classic underdog chip on their shoulder,